Sea of Thieves updates have come and gone, with various additions making it to the game, but much of it never has been released, be it cancelled, repurposed, or potentially still waiting to come out. I'm going to fill you in on everything that has been hinted at, delayed, scrapped, or may yet still come to Sea of Thieves. One of the most infamous pieces of cut content in Sea of Thieves is the Kraken, or should I say the original concept of it. Originally envisioned as a more interactive and fearsome foe, the Kraken was supposed to have a body that players could attack, rather than just the tentacles we see today. Early concept art and developer interviews hinted at a much larger and more dynamic encounter, where players would need to strategize and work together to defeat the beast, as discussed in an interview with Greg Mayles in 2016. This even extended to different kinds of Krakens, as featured in the art book, such as the venomous Kraken. While we did get the full reveal in A Pirate's Life, the Kraken remains barely updated from its launch iteration, and that's something I think they should focus on soon. Recently, Mike Chapman has also hinted there was a planned sea serpent in the works. This could have been for Season 15 or even a future unrelated update, but ultimately this was not worked on due to the scope being too large, although he did express that he wanted to continue this. Another intriguing piece of cancelled content is the concept of legendary ships and legendary captains, which were part of the original captaincy update concept. These were meant to be uniquely decorated ships that players could encounter and battle on the high seas. Well, this morphed into milestones and ship titles. The system envisioned and discussed was made out to be different from what we have now, including crew commendations, again looking to have been turned into milestones. So this was technically not scrapped, but more so repurposed and transformed into what we see today, although the original concept does sound a bit cooler. The captaincy update was originally meant to be a perk of being a pirate legend, and players could tell you're one just by looking at your ship from a distance. While technically you can see that now with cosmetics, the developers seem to imply that you'd get a new ship model. You'll see what I'm talking about in the next section. Case in point with the legendary hideout, players were also meant to sail out of the waterfall at the start of the session. Instead of waking up at the outpost, you'd wake up in the Tavern of Legends. This is still very much on the table last I heard, but remains cut until further notice. I also wonder how this is going to work. While Sea of Thieves has had a cooking overhaul recently, you can also overhaul your cooking at home with today's sponsor, Factor. As someone who has multiple YouTube channels, works full-time, and is currently trying to raise a puppy, I have very little time to actually cook for myself. Factor removes the urge to order takeaways, skips the meal planning, and allows you to eat stress-free with delicious ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and is ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So if you're on the go, you can still have tasty and nutritious meals. Every week you'll have 35 options to choose from, so there's always something new to try. If you get busy, go on holiday, or you just need a break from tasty meals, I don't know why you need to, you can change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. Support the channel by clicking my link and subscribing to Factor. Every purchase helps me create more awesome content for you guys, and right now you can get 50% off your first box and free shipping if you use my code ShinyFeb50 and follow the link in the pinned comment. Speaking of Pirate Legends, there is so much stuff that has been conceptualized and never came to fruition for the company. One such example was the original plan for Pirate Legend cosmetics. Part of becoming Pirate Legend includes access to unique cosmetics. We see that in the game now. But what if I told you that the original idea was much cooler? In a pre-launch interview with Mike Chapman in February 2018, he stated the cosmetics would be found in the ancient chests, presumably the Chests of Legends. These cosmetics were meant to resemble the skeletons and featured items made of kraken bones. This stuff may have been turned into the Bone Crusher set, since those cosmetics were released very soon after launch. It's mad to think people could steal cosmetics from one another, and should have been something implemented by now. Although without RNG, I can imagine these chests being devalued very quickly. Nonetheless, the original plan was to have the cosmetics in the chests, and players could steal them from one another. Before the Legend of the Veil was released, there was a planned return to the Shores of Gold that never materialized. I asked Mike Chapman about this when he was featured on the podcast, and he confirmed it was scrapped over the Veil. This was due to the requirement of sailing to the Shores of Gold, and they just didn't have enough ideas to properly flesh it out. Still, a return to the Shores of Gold may be coming at some point, and the idea isn't totally off the cards. Some trading companies in Sea of Thieves, such as the Reaper's Bones and Hunter's Call, have been well fleshed out, or even added and removed like the Sea Dogs. But there were plans to add other companies, such as a shipwright-focused faction or a treasure map cartographer guild. These were left on the cutting room floor. These seem to have morphed into the captaincy and quest board respectively, but it would have been interesting to see how these would have fared. I'd love to have the ability to seek out materials to craft a ship, instead of just buying one. same for the other captaincy cosmetics. Various quality of life changes haven't come to the game, despite being confirmed to be in the works. A major request from fans is the ability to save outfit presets. This was meant to be coming at some point, it was cancelled due to the scope being too large, likely due to the issues with saving the ship cosmetics in the captaincy update. With that being said, it was confirmed to be coming back at some point by Mike Chapman, coincidentally, who was the one who said the feature had fallen out of priority. Still, it's nice to hear this content will be coming, hopefully soon, and I also hope it's not being cancelled again. Strap in folks, since this section is a massive one, from outright confirmation to some healthy speculation. Stick with me now. Kicking us off with various adventure plotlines. Adventures were previously planned to be continued in 2024 after a break, with the ability to replay the new iterations going forward. Instead, Rare decided to can them due to the lack of interest, and ultimately, several plotlines were scrapped, cancelled, or just reshuffled. This included the repairing and reconstruction of the Burning Blade, which used to exist on the shores of Shipwreck Bay. Instead of having this build up, the ship was eventually removed and returned as the world event we see today. Based on the journal and the wreck featuring in the Dark Deception adventure, the plans were certainly going to be different, where Flameheart sought to rebuild the original ship, not magic up a new one out of midair. Or did he rebuild it? We still don't know, but this was originally planned for 2023 and then got pushed back and remixed for August 2024. The Dark Brethren had a storyline that was cut out completely following the adventures 10 and 11. They cursed Tasha to gain leverage over Captain Briggsy, leading to the eventual release of the Skull of Siren Song, where Briggsy was looking for a specific skull to open the entrance to a temple that featured the cure to the skeleton curse. This temple was teased with the final pages of the Adventure 11 quest book, and also was part of a teaser during the 2022 Christmas livestream. This storyline was scrapped, with Tasha being cured by the Blade of Souls and Happy Memories, with the search of the Skull of Siren Song ultimately being pointless. As such, it appears as the Temple in the Sea of the Damned voyage will never see the light of day, unless Flameheart is still searching for that. The original Flameheart storyline appears to be heavily reused, scrapped, or cancelled outright, with several pieces of evidence supporting this. In 2019 to early 2020, the Flameheart story was due to escalate before coming to a harsh halt after October 2020. The Haunted Shores event was originally planned to be a tall tale, where Stitcher Jim's head would be in the sky and not Flameheart's, but was changed to be a world event instead. That's why we had 2 world events in 2 consecutive updates in 2020. In a recent video, Captain Falcor pointed out that much of A Pirate's Life appears to have used content from a planned Flameheart tall tale arc, which would delve into his and his son's backstories. The Dead Man's Grotto features a lot of the same landmarks described in the Tale from the Sea of Thieves book, the same island that the Servant of the Flame encounters the captain on. The Silver Blade features prominently in the story, despite the new crew on it having nothing to do with Flameheart, and the A Pirate's Life story having nothing to do with him, although the captain is featured as a little teaser in the Dark Brethren Tall Tale, which makes this make even more sense. The Dark Brethren being made up of various players harmed by Flameheart and his former captain aligns better than being bolted onto a Pirates of the Caribbean adventure. The release timeline also lines up, with a build-up in 2020 and a big summer release in 2021. A Pirate's Life development started in 2019, round about the time Flameheart's story began, further emphasizing the chopping and changing of assets. Pirate's Life did, however, originally have 10 tall tales planned, although only materialized into 5 parts in the end. It does work too, despite the story making sense. It sort of ends right as the plot gets interesting during the Dark Brethren. A potion shop was also planned to come to the game at some point, and was going to be found where the Pirate Emporium is found on the outpost now. The potions were planned to give you different boons, or be thrown to create adverse effects. We can see how this turned into different features, like the throwables, cursed cannons, and even the Emporium. In the strange case of the latter, even before launch, the devs planned to include pirate appearance potions, but ones that could alter your looks, like make you old for example. This was featured in an interview with Joni and Mike Chapman before launch. The upstairs overhaul update of the tavern. Allegedly they have plans for it, but it hasn't released in several years, with no real updates going on about this. It's likely to never live up to our expectations, but was interestingly included in Port Merrick's refurbishment, so there is clearly some plans for it to come out, I hope. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video, and don't forget to use my link in the pinned comment to get 50% off your first order and free shipping on your first box. I'll see you guys in the next video.